Hi guys, today we'll talk about fellowship deck strategy called preparations or dwarf preparations. It's a little bit different than most usual dwarf strategies. Usually dwarfs rely on one or two very beefy characters bearing a lot of hand weapons and possessions and rings, and usually this is Durin, which is +1 strength for each artifact and each possession he bears. However, this strategy is very prone to Grima, Wormtongue, which can spot a companion with bearing 3 or more cards to return all of them to that player's hand. So that's why this deck's a little bit more different. It's called Dwarf Preparation because of its namesake card. This is the condition preparations. So how does usually this deck starts? You can see the ring bearer is Frodo, just a little bit protection about for discarding cards from your hand or deck. We play the one ring, the binding ring, which can tutor for several rings, dwarven ones, and one ring for Aragorn. And the starting fellowship is Gimli and Sam, son of Hamfast. Why do we start with Sam? Because we want to usually bid high. We want to bid about 3 burdens usually, just to play first, because of our first site, Dunharrow Plateau. We use this site to play a condition from our draw deck, and if we don't have preparation in our opening hand, we want to do just that. So what preparation does is you can exert a dwarf companion during your regroup phase to stack a card from your discard pile here. You usually want to stack dwarven cards because during the skirmish you can discard this condition to wound a minion for each dwarven card stacked here. However, usually we're keeping this condition in play and using the skirmish effect as a last resort, because as you can see, as you will see, we have various ways to play our card stacked here, and one of them is Sindri, Dwarven Lord. So the ability of Sindri is you can play Dwarven skirmish events stacked on Dwarven conditions as if they are in your hand. And our only skirmish event is Battle Tested, which is 0 event and makes a dwarf strength +2 or +4 if you can spot a card stacked on a dwarf condition. We will usually have such a card, so this basically will be always +4 strength, which you can play during each skirmish, and then during the regroup phase you will exert a dwarf and you will stack Battle Tested back on your preparations, and you will repeat this process as many times as you can, so it's almost guaranteed that each combat you will have your Battle Tested stack on preparations and you will use it to win skirmishes with your dwarf, just as long Sindri is in play. So the question is, you have to exert dwarf each time you do this, right? So how do this deck heals apart from being on a sanctuary? So first, as I said, we're playing the binding ring that tutors rings from your deck, and 2 of these rings are the purpose of these rings are to heal your dwarfs. Ring of Fury will heal X dwarfs, which is the amount of the damage plus, for each damage plus on the bearer. And the other ring that heals actually at the start of each of your turns is Ring of Barahir, which is Aragorn's ring, and he heals. He needs to spot a culture token to heal a companion of that culture. And we're playing a version of Aragorn, Defender of Free People, that has an ability to remove a dwarf token to heal a dwarf. So we need dwarf tokens on our, and usually dwarf tokens we can find on dwarf conditions, right? So we have Stout and Strong, which puts a dwarf token every time a dwarf wins a skirmish. Our dwarves will usually win skirmishes because of battle tested and because of Durin ability. We also have Dwarven Axes, Gimli's Battle Axe, and Dwarven Bracers, just to make our dwarves stronger and more powerful. And we have one more additional condition, Suspended Palaces, which comes already with 2 dwarf tokens. The rest of the deck is, we have few possessions for Aragorn, Aragorn's bow and Ranger's sword, just to help along with the dwarves. We have one more ring. We have our Blood Runs Chill, just to deal with each kind of condition and possessions on the shadow side. We have Delving for drawing. We have Slaked Thirsts. So this is also an especially synergistic event that we can play during the maneuver to draw a card, just for sporting a dwarf. And then during the regroup phase, we'll use preparation to stack it on it. And we can basically, the next maneuver, we can play Slaked Thirsts to exert a minion twice. So as you can see, we have a little bit of exerting, a little bit of healing, and a few very beefy and powerful dwarfs that will usually win skirmishes. So that's about this fellowship. It's quite strong, it's quite versatile, and it has a nice combo that if you can set up on time, it can be very hard to stop. That's it for dwarf preparations. In the next video, we'll take a look at the besieger parts of this deck, which is an interesting take on besiegers that tries to control as much sites as possible. Okay, take care.